Welcome to 12 Gauge Investigative.
In the shadows where the truth hides deep, echoes of the lost and the secrets they keep. Cold cases burn in the back of your mind. We dig through the dark, 1, 2 at a time. This ain't fiction, this is blood, this is truth. 12 Gauge Investigative, justice uncaged. We ask the questions they're too scared to say, shining a light where the guilty pray. From killers to whispers, we won't look away.
All right. Happy Sunday to you all. My name is 12 Gauge and welcome to my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. I sat 3 hours of freaking agony just now. My favorite football team, they lost to the Baltimore Ravens, a 1-5 team. What makes you wonder how the hell the NFL really goes from somebody being on a 3-game winning streak to losing to a team that's 1-5. Doesn't make sense to me, but I guess it doesn't have to, right? Anyways, today I wanted to get on here and, just kind of wing it. Talk about true crime, see where it takes us. The first case that I want to put up here is a case out of Oklahoma. And I have talked about this case in the past, but I've never really discussed it. You know what I mean? And hopefully I'll be able to find what I was looking for. Because I don't want to really use somebody else's stuff. I mean, Ashley Banfield did it, but, I guess we'll start with the Fox News clips and we'll go from there. Because I'm not sure how cool people are about people using their stuff, you know what I mean? And we'll start here with the Fox and Friends. If you haven't heard about this case, it's about Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma to be exact, where this teen was suspected of committing sexual assault. And I'll let the newscasters speak on it. Hey, Victoria, thank you for being here.
A high school baseball star who was facing nearly 80 years in prison will avoid jail time after pleading no contest to 10 felony charges, including rape, sexual battery, and strangulation of 2 teen girls. Thanks to a plea deal, the 18-year-old will keep a clean record if he obeys his youthful.
So think about that. This is all he's going to get until age 19. 150 hours of community service, sex offender treatment therapy, daily check-ins, weekly counseling, a curfew, and no social media. So think about that regarding the seriousness of the crimes in which he was suspected of committing. Originally, they had charged him and classified him as an adult, but then they decided to not use the certification and bump him back down to juvenile law. So in juvenile law, which I work with this daily, so um, it is not as severe in punishment phase as the adult process. So people are very outraged at this crime because of the viciousness and the violence of it. I mean, if you look at this right here, you look at 150 hours of community service, have to go to sex offender treatment therapy, daily check-ins, weekly counseling. He's given a curfew probably till 5 o'clock, and no social media. So in that retrospect, this individual pretty much got away with his crimes. Is it right? Is it wrong? Let me hear from you either in the comments or and in the chat. Come out. Come let us know what you think about this.
Offender plan until he turns 19, which is less than a year from now. And the mothers of the victims are reacting to this sentence. One calls it a complete injustice to these girls and to their futures because unfortunately, statistically, it won't end. The other victim's mom says, I told the DA, don't want him to get away with this because I cannot know that another mother is going to have to go through what I went through.
And that's exactly true. Can you imagine your daughter being viciously attacked and raped by this individual, and all they offered him was what I just showed you? At first, he was facing, when they certified him as, they were going to certify him as an adult, he was facing 78 years in prison. But since they didn't certify him, this is what he ended up having.
Let's bring in criminal defense attorney and Fox News contributor Josh Ritter. Josh, thanks so much for joining the program this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, Josh, I went through all the state statutes on this, and one thing stuck out to me is when you upgrade a charge to an adult and you bypass this youthful offender, you can do it for two reasons. The youth cannot be rehabilitated or the public cannot be protected. Okay, this is victims here. The public can't be protected when this guy on the street, right?
No, you're absolutely right. He's demonstrated through his own actions that the public can't be defended. If this were a one-time thing, you could understand perhaps an argument. Even then, I would still find the whole situation to be shocking.
Right.
But you could at least...
Because I want to let you know a little bit before we get back to the attorney. The juvenile process, it's set up for rehabilitation. It's set up for the juvenile to be rehabilitated, to be able to give them a process for them not to crash their lives out so early on in their lives and be able to get through the process and move on with their life, to learn the lesson, so to speak. But this was not one of those cases. I mean, these violent cases such as this, a lot of times you have to face them with discretion. You can't just feel that, okay, he almost killed somebody. 30 more seconds choking her out, and she would have died. She has a mark right here where he was choking her out. And I will show you that one on Ashley Banfield's one after I show it on this, but
at least wrap your head around the argument that they could say that he's eligible for some sort of rehabilitation and not a threat. But I think he's demonstrated through his own actions that he is, in fact, a threat. I understand the legal mechanism by which this happened, but what I don't understand is how it was allowed to happen, how prosecutors didn't get involved, how the judge didn't get involved. Somebody didn't say that, listen, we realize this law exists and somebody can take advantage of it, but this is not the kind of candidate. When I was a prosecutor here in Los Angeles, we routinely would see these types of cases with these charges, or even less than this, seeing easily decades in prison. So the idea that we're talking about within a...
Yeah, I've seen it myself. I've seen cases since I've worked with juvenile probation. Without disclosing any names or anything like that, I've seen cases that, have went up the ladder, so to speak, in different phases where they ended up bypassing the juvenile justice system and going strictly certified to be an adult to go and do prison time, because they are in unrehabilitatable and they are a danger to society. You know, it's just tragic. It's just tragic at this point that this teen will. I mean, if he look, let me give you a little break on his on his conditions as well. I think he's 17 right now. Generally, in the state of Texas, once they're 17, they're considered an adult. I don't know how they are in Oklahoma, but in Texas, at 17, legally, they are an adult. So in Oklahoma, you know, if they're still viewed as a juvenile, he has until 19 to possibly, be entering the prison or the adult system. Here in Texas, let's say somebody's 16. If they go to 16 and they don't reoffend up until their 18th birthday, their file is sealed. No no reoffending, nothing like that. So their file is sealed. But in this case, this should carry this guy into his adulthood because he obviously has a problem. He has a problem because he'd done this more than once. This was not an isolated attack.
A matter of a year or so, and no jail time whatsoever, some probation, community service, he could be walking away from this. I understand the frustration coming from the victims' families.
So the DA is getting pushed back, and so they released this statement. This is what they're saying. As a useful offender, the accused has an opportunity for rehabilitation that can be transitioned to adult status and adult punishment if those efforts fail. Years of experience tells us that juries often struggle with convicting defendants based upon delayed reports of sexual assault between people in ongoing consensual dating relationships. And the trial process can be very traumatic for the victims, but that's your job as the DA.
And that's another thing is, obviously they didn't push for a jury trial because as a juvenile, you don't have to have a jury trial. You can push, it could just be you and the judge. And the judge is going to ask you, are these charges true or untrue? And if he answered true, that's probably why he got the deal that he got, But there was obviously no jury trial in this case. Had there been one as an adult, he could have been facing 78 years if he would have been certified. I believe Oklahoma dropped the ball. Tell me what you think.
It's always complicated when it comes to juries, but you got to present the case, and you have two victims there.
Yeah, and by the way, they don't sound reluctant. They
Right.
sound like they were seeking justice. This does not sound like a situation where they were having a hard time getting the victims to come into court or to come forward. One of them was hospitalized. So this isn't that statement to me is just hiding behind a mistake that they made. This clearly. Understanding that law is on the books and what it's there for, and this idea of that young people don't have fully formed brains and we want to give them the opportunity for rehabilitation is one thing, but allowing for someone who committed these types of crimes to take advantage of it and leaving two victims hanging in the wind is completely unacceptable.
Josh, and to that point, and
I agree with that 100%. When it comes to victims and the severity of the victimization, especially if it's a felony status, you should give them the most protection that's needed for them after the fact, because obviously they were not protected by this individual. So to be able to just give him this light sentence, even though that is the juvenile law, is unacceptable.
and this is a graphic statement, so if you have children in the room, you probably don't want them in for this, but I think it's important to show that you had cooperating victims here. This is what they said in the case. One of the victims said Butler would strangle her if she refused him. The teenage girl needed surgery to repair the damage done to her neck by strangulation, and her doctor said she would have died had the strangulation lasted another 30 seconds. So she almost died. This is the medical professional's point of view here.
Yeah.
It's attempted murder. I mean, how there's a definite argument that that's attempted murder. You're talking about you're within 30 seconds of losing your life. This isn't teenagers going too far, drinking involved, misunderstandings taking place. This is a brutal, physical act of sexual assault that easily could have been filed in different jurisdictions as an attempted murder, given those circumstances. The fact that somebody was hospitalized and that the person responsible for that is not going to spend one night in prison is appalling.
So a quick exit question.
It is appalling. It's appalling on so many levels, but I do understand it based on being on the other side of the coin. You know, he basically lucked out. I mean, I don't know how he got the sweet deal. I don't know how he got from being certified as an adult, but hopefully Ashley Banfield will be able to give us a little more insight than these guys are giving us. And I'll play her video next.
Because we got to go. When I was going through the statutes and all that, it looks like most of the discretion lies within the DA. But could the judge have stepped in and said, no, I can't take this deal?
No.
That's what they're there for, is to act as a protector if they feel that for whatever reason that the prosecutors are taking advantage of a law that they have the discretion to use, but that they're taking advantage of it in a way that it wasn't intended for. That they have as much discretion to accept these pleas, and we see this happen sometimes where judges simply won't accept a plea because they don't think it's in the pursuit of justice. And why that wasn't done here is still baffling to me.
It's egregious. I mean, it's not a good look when the star football player rapes two girls, almost kills one of them, and then he's just back on the street. Josh, thanks so much for joining the program.
Okay, let me get back to the other one that I want to show you. Ashley did a better one. Ashley, don't strike me.
Hey, everybody.
You have a very good show on this, so I want to be sure to show yours and give you complete credit. This is Ashley Banfield from Drop Dead Serious, and here we go.
He is 18 years old, and he is from Stillwater, Oklahoma. That is a college town. It's home to Oklahoma State University.
Okay, that says a lot right there. He's 18 years old, so they may view their juvenile system up until 19 in Oklahoma. I have to look that up. We'll look that up after this video. But that makes a difference right there. But here in Texas, he would have been certified as an adult. He wouldn't have got this lot of treatment. So that makes sense right there. So let's go ahead and get on with it.
Which is about an hour north of Oak City if you're driving. Back in March, when Jesse Mack Butler was just 17 years old, he was charged as an adult with a string of sadistic sex crimes against two girls, fellow students at Stillwater High School. One of those girls was choked unconscious and almost died, according to her doctor. Jesse Butler was charged with 10 felony counts in all. And it is important to hear what those counts are, to hear the list of charges that he faced because they were so serious.
Okay, so he was 17 when he did these crimes. So 10 felony charges at 17 years old. I guess technically they still could have viewed the juvenile law if they wanted to. But, I mean, with 10 felonies, that's above and beyond. You're looking at a perp right there at that point, you know? Listen to what she said about this guy.
2 attempted, 3 charges of by instrumentation, which I will leave you to think that through. There's an instrument, that's the charge. 1 count of sexual battery, 1 count of forcible oral. That's a tough one because most people think of that as something from behind. You can think through that charge as something that happened with the mouth. 2 counts of domestic assault and battery by strangulation. and 1 count of domestic assault and battery. And let me be real clear, there were bigger, more widespread charges that the state could have thrown at this person, like attempted murder. The 2 alleged victims and their families had every reason to believe that the wheels of justice were hard at work for them, right?
So tell me, if this was your child and this would have happened to them, not only one child, but you heard of another one happening, or young adult, let's say young adult, let's not say child, let's say young adult. You had a young adult daughter, and then you hear that another young adult had the same thing happen in the hands of this guy. Would you be okay with the way the wheels of justice went in this case? I don't think you would. I don't know very many people that would be okay with it. But you're going to find out exactly what caused this to happen as we go along.
For them, but also for Jesse Mack Butler. He deserved justice. Everybody does in this country.
No, that was Ashley's dog. I think his name is Rex. I don't know. She always has him on her show. That's Ashley's dog.
But before I tell you what actually ended up happening, let me tell you why Jesse Mack Butler faced those 10 charges, what he actually did to those girls. You should know that what I'm about to talk about is extremely graphic in detail, okay? The descriptions are despicable, but they're critical to the story, especially when you find out how the judge in this story, Judge Susan Worthington, came down on this case. A police affidavit says a girl identified as LS, because she's a minor, dated Jesse Butler for about 3 months, starting in January of last year. She was 16 years old at the time. And during that time, this victim said that Jesse Butler repeatedly raped her and attempted to rape her and would strangle her if she refused. The teenage...
If that doesn't make you angry, I don't know what type of parent you really are or a human being. Because look at her. She's in this kind of contraption, and I think this is the one that was choked out and raped repeatedly. I know one of these girls was raped for fear that he would have something done to their families or something.
Girl actually needed surgery to repair damage that was done to her neck by the strangulation. And her doctor told her that she would have died had that strangulation lasted another 30 seconds. The girl says she gave in to Jesse Mack Butler because he repeatedly threatened to kill her and kill her family.
There you go. There you go. So how is that threat of killing somebody not against the law either? I mean, you can just threaten to kill somebody. That is viewed as a terroristic threat around here, but I don't know. I guess in Oklahoma, it's not frowned upon.
She didn't. Separate affidavit says that in March of that year, last year, Butler took up with another 16-year-old girl identified as only KS. That relationship lasted 6 months. But this teenager said she too was assaulted by Butler, that he was aggressive and violent with her, and says she went along with unwanted sex to avoid being hurt. This victim also said that one time when she did refuse, Butler strangled her and recorded himself doing it, recorded himself strangling her on his phone, strangling her until she passed out. And if you think that this is he said, she said, police later found that actual video on Jesse Mack.
Okay, so there is visual evidence. Obviously, the police found visual evidence. So there is visual evidence that they found on his phone. So that obviously was something that they were going to use against him. I can't believe he recorded it. God.
Butler's phone. So think that through for a sec. He not only strangled someone until she passed out, he thought it would be fun to videotape it. And he did, and they found it. That's called evidence. Jesse Mack Butler pleaded not guilty to everything that he was charged with, and that is his right. But in the coming months, for reasons that I will not pretend to understand, the DA's office struck a deal with Jesse Butler's lawyers to change his status from adult offender to youthful offender.
See, that is where this case really gets really hard to understand. 17, doing these things to these girls, not once, but twice, and almost killing one, and threatening to kill another's family. How is that normal behavior in Norman, Oklahoma? Anybody watching this, keep your daughters away from Jesse. What's his name? Butler. Jesse Butler. Keep your little girls, your young daughters, away from this predator. Because one thing for certain is he's already on a pattern of destruction towards women. I'm sure this is not the last time we're going to hear about Jesse Butler.
You know where I'm going, right? Needless to say, the families of these two girls, these victims, begged the district attorney not to do that. Begged him, please do not downgrade the charges against this guy the way he'd be treated as an offender. But no matter, in July, a judge signed off. Judge Susan Worthington. Judge Susan Worthington.
I would believe that the judge should be as culpable as the attorney, not the DA. There should be no way, no how, that this man got this deal. To be able to hurt these people and to get a deal like that. Do y'all think that's okay? Y'all think he's innocent? You think he's, he was wronged, he was pushed to sign a deal, blah, 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 all that bullshit that people got to say? Or do you think that they just dropped the ball on this case?
Worthington, remember that name too. She decided, all good, I'll sign off on this. And in August, Jesse Mack Butler changed his plea from not guilty to no contest. And if you watch my podcasts regularly, you know how I feel about the no contest plea, right? It's basically just saying, okay, you got me. Whatever. I'm not pleading to anything, but okay, you got me.
Right.
That's what no contest means. It also means you have a conviction, right? You still get the conviction. But for whatever reason, the authorities in this story decided he doesn't even need to say he did it. He can just say no contest. What no contest means is that he knew there was ample evidence to convict him and that a conviction would be the result of his no contest plea. By the way, I mentioned there were 10 counts before. Yeah, that was then. But by August, there was one more. And the grand tally took him to 11. If you can believe it, the new charge was for violating a protective order.
Get this. Sorry, Ashley. During this part, there's a protective order against this individual and the victims, right? So this guy already has shown that he's incapable of following the law. He's incapable of following boundaries set by females. Incapable of being told no. Now, when law enforcement tells him no, look at what happens.
All of this, right? A kid is facing 10 felony charges that are sex related. And there's a protective order against him. And what does he do? He violates it. Because why not, right? Why the hell not? All I can say is that this violation should have been such a motherfucking red flag for somebody, but it wasn't. Because guess what? The very same day that he violated that protective order, he was actually being sentenced to 78 years in prison. Same day. 78 years. Which, you know, sounds like a fitting punishment for someone who nearly kills two different girls and them both repeatedly, right? And cops to it all. But as a youthful offender, which was his new status, Jesse Mack Butler was entitled to special treatment.
See, that's where I'm confused at this whole thing. She said on the day he was being sentenced. So that would have meant that he had gone to court as an adult. And I guess they threw it out of court back into the juvenile system. That's where this case is confusing. Because if he was being sentenced for 78 years as an adult, and they threw it back into the juvenile system, maybe they threw the case out, said there wasn't enough strong evidence, blah, blah, blah. Maybe the perpetrator, or I mean, not the perpetrator, but the victims refused to testify or whatever. Maybe something wasn't as strong, so they threw it back into the juvenile system.
And just you wait until you hear how special that treatment was. And I'm going to just advise you right now, pour yourself a big, stiff drink. Before I get to that, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me, get off the ledge. These stories are so passionate, and I would not be able to do this if you weren't in my community today. Okay, back to the special treatment that Jesse Mack Butler got. A rehabilitation plan. Yeah, that's what they called it, a rehabilitation plan. So 78 years on one side of the ledger as an adult, and a rehabilitation plan on the other side of the ledger.
I mean, that's what a lot of people don't like about the juvenile system. It is about rehabilitation. It is about keeping nonviolent offenders out of the system. Where you get that loophole, the violent offenders, such as this individual, they still have the same law governing them. So you can't just say, well, we're gonna do this more harshly to you because of your crime. You either certify them as an adult or you leave them as a juvenile. That's where a lot of this stuff, and that's where a lot of parents get upset.
Plan was drawn up by the Oklahoma Office of Juvenile Affairs, and it was presented to the court just last week. Today, it is October the 18th as I'm recording this. This new punishment plan, you ready for this? Oof, it's a doozy. It calls for daily check-ins. Weekly counseling. No. A curfew. Say it ain't so. No social media. When will it end? And are you ready? Here's the big one. 150 hours of community service. Do you notice what I didn't say there? No jail time. Nothing. 78 years of jail, 150 hours of community service.
Well, he did. I mean, if he was put into custody, he would have done, depending on how quickly he went to trial, they would have held him. Hopefully they held him in custody for, at least up to 10 days at a time while you're reviewing the case. Excuse me. But like I said, Oklahoma's totally different, man. Oklahoma's totally different. I gotta pull up their juvenile justice stuff after this. I agree with you, Ashley. I agree.
That's what this was knocked down to. And no social media. No. A curfew. Unless you think that this extraordinary restriction on his life was going to last, forever and ever. Amen. No. This new plan was going to stay in effect until Butler turns 19, which is less than a year from now.
Yeah.
Here's another kick in the teeth. If you're anybody other than Jesse Mack Butler or his family. If he complies with this court-ordered rehab for a year and doesn't break any more laws, his record is going to be wiped clean.
Yep.
Squeaky clean. Jesse Mack Butler will not spend a day in prison. His name will not appear on any sex offender registry. Nobody in any other town or city or state or school or university or business is going to have a clue as to who Jesse Mack Butler really is or what his proclivities have been. If you were to back,
Well, if anybody watches news or Drop Dead Serious, or you watch my channel, then you're going to hear Jesse Butler. And I mean, even though it's not on his record, I mean, you can't use anything against him just in the public domain, but still, I might keep an eye on this guy.
background check on him, like let's say you meet him on a dating site, or again, you're thinking of hiring him, none of this will show up. None of it.
None of it.
He nearly kills 2 girls, according to their accusations, right? And according to what he pled to, strangled them until they choked, and the doctor said 30 more seconds you'd be dead. You'll know nothing about that. I have not been able to breathe properly since I learned about this story. I thought we were so far past this that women could be treated this way and have someone walk like this, let alone girls. These are 16-year-olds, 2 girls. And by the way, their fact patterns are almost identical. It's not he said, she said, he copped to it, right? Earlier on my News Nation show, Banfield, which is weeknights at 10 p.m. on News Nation, I talked with Justin Shepard. He's a digital journalist who has got an online handle, Just in the Nick of Crime. And he has been on this case like glue from the beginning. Here's our conversation. And let me tell you, Justin, you have done some unbelievable digging, not just on the case itself, but the justice system and the players, not only the judge, but the judge's father and those involved. It sounds to me, and this is just a very sweeping comment.
I mean, check this part out. There's a lot of people connected to this this person, and the judge is just as deep.
Justin, but it sounds to me like this is like the low country Murdochs and how they used to run justice in their neck of the woods. Am I off here?
No, you're not. In fact, it's funny you said Murdoch, because I was talking about somebody else about this today earlier, and I said this is just like the Murdoch situation with how deep this goes. And yeah, normally when I get a story that comes across my desk and I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about this one. And I'm like you, when I first saw this one, I was absolutely livid. I still am. And the next thing I knew, I had so many people reaching out to me about the way Stillwater, Oklahoma's judicial system handles things.
Okay, I pulled that up. Let's go ahead and look at that. Let's cut into this because I don't want to get striked. So let's cut into this so I can show you the Oklahoma law regarding juveniles versus adults. And let me educate you a little bit on the differences. In Oklahoma, juveniles under 18 are processed differently with charges leading to delinquency proceedings, which adults are subject to the adult criminal justice system. However, some serious juvenile offenses can result in a child being charged as a youthful offender or even an adult, meaning felonies. And in certain situations, a juvenile can be detained in an adult facility for short periods. The age of the majority is 18. Well, he was 17 when he committed the crime. And minors can become emancipated through court order or marriage. So here's the juvenile laws, okay? So I want you to take into account some of this. It says the age of the majority is 18. So that is the age they're declared an adult. Legal proceedings. Minors are not convicted, but they're adjudicated delinquent in juvenile court. Detention. Juveniles are supposed to be held in separate juvenile detention facilities from adults, though here are exceptions for certain serious offenses or for short periods for identification and processing, provided sight and sound separation is maintained. Emancipation. Minors can be emancipated by a court order or by getting married. So here's the adult laws. The age of majority is 18. Adults are processed through the adult criminal justice system. The legal age of consent is 18. Adults who commit crimes are subject to the same adult criminal penalties, which are generally more severe than those for juveniles. When juvenile laws and adult laws overlap, serious crimes. For serious offenses, a juvenile can be charged as a youthful offender as an adult, depending on the crime and their age. Adult detention. A juvenile can be held in an adult facility for up to 6 hours for processing, provided sight and sound separation from adults is maintained. Adult criminal charges. An adult who has sexual contact with a minor can face statutory rape charges. So that kind of tells you a little bit about it. And it says only under very serious circumstances are minor charges adults in Oklahoma. So I don't know if why this wouldn't mean that this was a serious offense. Like I said, I'm just going on what is being stated here versus, you know, what happened. I'm sure we're going to hear more about it. Now, here's the breakdown of the connection between the people involved in this case.
Lenient. Their track record looks as though it's like sexual deviance. Oh, well, whatever. A lot of the sentences, a lot of the bail has let sexual offenders run rampant in this community. First, I think this judge, second, her father ahead of her. Tell me if I've got that wrong. But did Judge Susan Worthington here on your screen, was she also connected to the offender's dad at OSU or through any of the athletic programs?
So this is all, unconfirmed speculation or rumors, I should say, based on what I've heard, is that she and her dad, whose name was Don Worthington, and the two of them, I think it's worth noting, have kind of ran the bench in Stillwater, the judiciary, for about 50 years. So
So her and her dad have pretty much ruled over this area for 50 years. That should be unethical on so many grounds. I mean, especially when you have somebody that's lenient on sexual crimes, such as this woman. She needs to be taken off the bench, in my opinion.
Two of them have kind of been, over everything. And it's my understanding that both of them, the father and now the daughter, Judge Susan Worthington, are very much involved with OSU athletics, whether it's as donors, whether it's as supporters. That's just kind of what I've been told.
What's the recourse here? I got about 20 seconds left. There's got to be something that these families can do.
The only thing that you really have as far as reopening the case is if the DA decides to do that. I believe that's Laura Thomas. And based on what I've started to learn about her, that's highly unlikely. The only other thing that these families could do is probably sue the Butler family legally, given the fact that Jesse was under 18 at the time. That would possibly make the parents liable. But that's kind of the most you're going to be able to do, other than make sure that his face is everywhere. Because once, like you said, he turns 19 years old, this is wiped clean. So all we're going to have is a Google search.
It's just unfathomable. We just had the list of charges up on the screen again, Justin. It's just, again, 11 charges, 10 of them extraordinarily violent. He pled to them. This is not allegations. This isn't he said, she said. These things happened to those girls, and 150 hours of community service and a couple of check-ins and no social media is all he's going to get. It just.
See, that's not cool at all, man. I mean, that is the law, though. That is the law. And that's what makes people so mad, is the laws are set in a way where they're set. I mean, juvenile laws are set for rehabilitation. Adult laws are set for punishment. Adult laws are not set for rehabilitation. So that's why they're so different. They don't care if an adult gets rehabilitated while they're in prison. Now, regarding the severity, I mean, like I said, since he's already violated the no contact order on the eve of getting sentenced, I mean, the dude is not going to be able to walk the line, I doubt. I mean, 150 hours of community service, not a lot of hours. He had a year to do this in. He had a year to walk the line, so to speak. I'm sure we'll be seeing his name again. And she goes on to say, even while he was, now I'll let her say it.
Just doesn't seem like this is America, if that's the kind of justice that these families are going to get. Stay on this.
There are bad decisions, and then there are incomprehensible decisions.
Yeah.
And this, what happened in Stillwater, feels like the latter.
Right.
A 17-year-old boy commits a violent, predatory act over and over and over again and cops to it and walks away with community service.
Of course.
And therapy and a curfew. And no Facebook or Instagram or Snap. If that doesn't shake your faith in the system, I don't know what will. But we're going to keep digging on this one, and we're not letting it go. Somebody needs to explain how this happened and who decided.
And she didn't say it right there, but I'm going to tell you, I heard her say it. She said while he was serving out his so-called time, he's already on dating sites asking other women, other young women, certain things like, do you want to hook up? You want to hang out? Granted, it wasn't in his paperwork that he couldn't be on dating sites, but is a dating site classified as social media? Now that's what you got to ask yourself. Has he already violated his probation based on being on a dating site? Because we usually tell the teens or the offenders, we usually tell them no cell phones whatsoever. And obviously, if we have a sexual offender in the adult realm, we tell them no social media, no internet, it's very strict. But I don't know how it is in Oklahoma, but I'm going to tell you this man's name needs to be put out there, not only for a precautionary factor. I mean, I don't believe in ruining people's futures, and maybe he made a huge mistake. Maybe making one or two victims and almost killing one, maybe that's a mistake he'll bounce back from. That's what I'm supposed to say, right? Because you're supposed to believe that people can change. But history doesn't change that quickly, and people don't change that quickly. You know, if you're any analytical person who has followed certain things, you understand that the best precursor of future experience is past history. You know what I mean? So this person needs to be watched. This person needs to be watched. Yes, exactly. Well, let's move on to another case. This one is about an unhinged woman who fakes her pregnancy with a plastic doll and claims the baby died. Yeah, you heard that right. You heard that right. Let's continue on. Thank you so much for being here with me on this Sunday. I tell you, you can't make this stuff up. And there we go. Let's see what this one's about. I would too, Cuffy. I just don't know that they do in Oklahoma or not. Here we go. Let's see what this woman's all about.
A newborn baby girl dies just days after birth from a congenital heart defect. Friends and family are distraught until they learn the truth. The baby wasn't real. In fact, she was just a really expensive and lifelike doll. The entire pregnancy and birth were a sham, all created as part of an elaborate hoax by the would-be mother. This is Scandal, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Sierra Gillespie. I'm going to say it right now. This is truly one of the more scandalous stories we've ever.
I mean, come on. This is already starting like one of those things like, what the, it's kind of like that story of that girl in the dorm who gave birth, killed her baby, and then stuffed it in the wall. I think that's the one. And there was another one who gave birth in the middle of the night, went into the backyard and buried it back behind the family home. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's like, come on, man. We have to do better as a society to educate these women that these type of things is not acceptable just to get social media exposure. We have to do better. This is not cool at all. It's kind of like that other woman. Remember that woman that was supposedly carjacked and they took her child on the road? Come to find out she'd never had the child. Never had a child. Supposedly she got carjacked and they took her baby and all this other stuff. And come to find out there was never even a child. We have to do better, man. We have to do better. Sierra, get on to it.
Covered on Scandal. I mean, you see a pregnancy announcement, you see a gender reveal, newborn pics, and you don't think twice, right? You think, oh, I'm happy for that family. You click like and move on with your day. You don't think, I wonder if that baby is actually a doll.
Right.
Well, spoiler alert, that's what happened in this case. A young woman out of Scotland created a complete facade to convince those around her that she was actually pregnant. And when you see the pictures yourself, you're going to wonder, how did anyone ever believe this? Today's scandal takes us to the village of Caldercrew. It's a rural area in North Lanarkshire, Scotland, about 40 minutes east of Glasgow. That's the home of Ciara Cousins, the subject of today's scandal. Now, in multiple reports, I've seen her age as 23. In other reports, I've seen her age as 22. So she's either 22 or 23.
Okay, already. Tell me, how would you be able to fake being pregnant from your family, from your friends, from your loved ones? Are we not that involved in people's lives that we take things as face value? The one that really wasn't pregnant ended up killing that other lady here in Texas, stole her newborn baby, stuffed it in her pants, was pulled over on the way to Oklahoma, killed the mom just to steal the baby. How is this even a thing? How is this even a thing?
And Ciara had been dating a man named Jamie Gardner. And a few months ago, they made a pretty big announcement. This is straight from Ciara's Facebook. It reads, quote, "Our own little miracle. We all can't wait to meet you," with a white heart emoji. And the picture serves as a pregnancy announcement, showing off a onesie, a pregnancy test, and a due date of November 2025.
Wow.
And as her pregnancy went on, Ciara began to show. I mean, she started to have a baby bump, and her friends say she was getting excited for this baby to arrive. So much so that Ciara even.
I mean, I can understand the baby bump. I get that. You can you can buy those prosthetics where you slip it over you, gives you a baby bump. I get that. But as far as once the baby is born, I just don't get it.
Had a gender reveal party where she learned that she's having a little girl. And here's where I have to splice in a recounting of all of this from Ciara's friend, a woman by the name of Neve McRobert, who posted about this entire story to her Facebook. Now, here's how Neve's post begins, quote, "Where TF do I even start? So Ciara is/was a good friend of mine. The day she told me she was pregnant, I was so happy, feeling like I was going to be an auntie again, sending me baby scans. 4 months go by and the gender reveal comes. Me,
Baby scans. Just like I don't even remember that lady's name. She was showing people her baby scans and everything. Come to find out, it wasn't even hers. It was from a prior. She was getting them off the internet or something and photocopying them. It's like, come on, people can't tell the difference. Is that, or do we just really not pay attention that closely anymore?
my mom, and niece all went, bought her gifts. She received a lot of presents for her baby doll. Anyway, no one thought for a second that she wasn't pregnant or lying to everyone. Everyone believed Kira. Kira was texting me all throughout her pregnancy, telling me never to get pregnant. She's constantly sick. She feels lonely, all the rest. So Kira's friends like me say that she gave them updates throughout the entire pregnancy. I mean, how she's doing, how far along she was, and even provided scans and ultrasound pictures of this baby.
Is she that starved for attention? I mean, are people in this world that starved for attention? You can answer this if you like, or you can like ignore it. But are we really as a society that starved for attention that we have to go to the extreme of creating a fake facade of you being pregnant?
And Kira was also gifted money and things you'd normally receive at a baby shower, like a baby carrier or even some newborn clothes. A few months into the alleged pregnancy, Kira once again took to Facebook to make a shocking update. Quote, "It's been a challenging and heartbreaking couple of days regarding baby Gardner. Jamie and I have had some time to talk with family and close friends to share some information, and I feel now, as everyone's checking in and asking, we share the news of our beautiful princess. Thankfully to the midwives and sonographers, these last few tests have picked up something that breaks our hearts, grieving that healthy baby we thought," she meant to say that, "we would have, but knowing soon she will be in our arms. They let us know that baby G has one congenital heart defects. This means that she is born with it at birth and will be..."
Oh my God, this is almost just like that one lady. This is, oh my God. She kept saying that her baby had multiple different ailments or whatever, that her baby had this, her baby had that. I watch too much of this stuff, I swear.
Be present into, she meant to say into, sadly, her adult life. The condition is known as a complete balance atrioventricular septal defect, AVSD or AV canal, which means she meant to say she, has a hole in the middle of her heart, as it didn't develop and form the correct way. And it has been this way since early stages of pregnancy.
Okay, I had that kind of crap. You know, I had a freaking hole in my heart that was corrected at birth. I mean, you know, people survive it.
While the ventricles leak the blood that should be pumping round her body, her heart struggles. Thankfully, both defects are treatable, and the cardiologist and NICU team we have spoke to feel very confident they will fix issues, but we have to prepare. We have many more appointments with specialists and are getting the best care for our daughter. In the meantime, thank you so much for checking in. Please respect our privacy on both sides of the family. Regardless of what happened, to which I'm sure everyone's seen last week, both families' main priorities is our daughter and having her supported and loved through the difficult time of her life. Mommy and Daddy both...
I don't know. I don't. Do y'all people, and I don't know who's watching, who's not watching, whether you be women or men, do you ladies have female friends who are pregnant that make these kind of posts? Maybe not telling you about the health of the baby, maybe just telling you, hey, everything going great, blah, blah, blah. They might be posting a picture here and there of the baby bump, but I don't know very many people that get into the process of writing a book about their baby. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe they're different types of people. I don't have those people on my social media.
love you, our girl. No matter what, we have got you. and she ended it with pink heart emojis and a pink bow. So shocking news, right? This baby has a congenital heart defect.
Wow,
But
that
Kira
looks
says
kind
she's
of
going to
real.
work with doctors and make sure her baby is safe.
Wow.
And that leads us to October 10th, when Kira apparently gives birth. Kira's friend, Neve, reported that Kira called her in the middle of the night on October 10th. Neve says she didn't answer because she was asleep, but when she woke up, she says she felt terrible because she thought that Kira had to give birth all alone. But after that, Kira appeared to be in really good health and happy. Here's what she shared on Facebook. Miss Bonnie Lee Joyce Gardner, born 10/10/25 at 2:46 a.m., 5 pounds 4 ounces, and she ended it with a white and pink heart emoji. Now, the photo attached shows baby Bonnie Lee sitting in a car seat, and those weren't the only Facebook posts shared of baby Bonnie Lee. In another post, Kira wrote, quote, "The most beautiful girl with 2
See right there, you can tell that's a baby doll. I mean, that other picture, that angle, might fool some people, but you can tell that's a baby. That's a baby doll. She doesn't have the textures too perfect. You know what I mean? I've never seen a baby with that perfect of skin. Maybe I haven't seen the right baby yet. You let me know if you've seen a baby that could resemble this.
pink heart emojis. But she's had enough of photo shoots, laughing emoji. How did mommy and daddy get so lucky?" A different post reads, "All warm and wrapped up today, equally as cute," pink heart emojis. "Thank great gran and granddad for my chair. I'm even opening my eyes to start being nosy in it." Now, this next post appears to be a story showing a picture of baby Bonnie Lee with the word perfection and a white heart emoji and a big eyes emoji. But things quickly turned. This is once again from Nev, who was friends with Kira. Quote, 2 days after the baby was born, she texts me saying Jamie's mom had says to her, "It's a doll. She's not moving or anything, and she'll be freezing. Again, never let the granny hold the baby or touch the baby."
Grandma was onto it. Mom was onto it, boy. 2 days after the baby was born, she was like, "That's a doll. She's not moving." No.
According to Neve, Kira contacted the hospital and doctors had apparently instructed her, keep the baby wrapped up, don't allow anyone to touch her. But Neve says the following day, Kira wanted to show off the baby to her coworkers. So we went, and all her work colleagues were giving her money for good luck. She asked her manager, "Can I come back to work?" as a joke, and her manager says, "Kira, just enjoy this time off and get bonding time with Bonnie Lee." So now everyone in her work has met her. We came to mine. She had the car seat really close to her, and my mom was also excited to meet the baby, as Kira had been telling my mom for weeks and months. She couldn't wait to see her. My mom moved the blanket to just see her legs, as everyone does, and Kira moved so quickly to put the cover back over her. She made a bottle up and says, "She's not crying or even up, so I won't bother thee now." At this point, Neve says she started to feel odd. I mean, something just wasn't right. So Kira told her at the time that Jamie, the alleged father, requested a DNA test. But Neve says she'd had enough. So she added Jamie on Snapchat and asked him point blank, "What is going on?" And that's when Jamie admitted the baby was a doll. But
Oh
Kira
my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being like feeling all this time, believing that your daughter was going to have a baby, your friend, and all this, and then all of a sudden, bam, no, it's a doll.
wasn't fessing up yet. Instead, she claimed that Bonnie Lee died. Here are some texts that she sent. Kira says, quote, "Something happened to Bonnie Lee, but I need someone here with me to explain things to you so H can understand. X." The person replies, "What?" Kira says, "Bonnie Lee died, but you need to give me time to tell you everything, etc. And I will, I promise." And the response is, "What the F?" After this, the
Right.
floodgates just broke open and the truth finally came out. According to the Daily Mail, Kira's mom allegedly found the doll in her bedroom. Kira reportedly bought a fake baby belly to make it look like she was pregnant. And after she gave birth, quote unquote, she reportedly spent a quote fortune on this lifelike doll, all to convince her friends and family she was actually pregnant. And it was determined to be something called a reborn doll, which is a doll that's made to look specifically as realistic and real to a human being as possible. And they can be pretty pricey. I
Wow.
did some research according to reborndoll.com.
Could you tell that's a doll? Y'all let me know in the chat. Can y'all tell if that's a doll right there just looking at it? Would you be able to tell if that's a doll, or would you say, nah, man, that's a real baby?
They can cost as much as $10,000. It's unclear really how much Kira spent on this doll besides this quote fortune, but she did try to pass the doll off as a real baby. But on top of all of that, she allegedly stole real, true baby photos of her friends' children and tried to pass them off as her own. The Daily Mail also published an interview with a source close to the family, and it reads in part, quote, "It's the talk of Scotland. She took the doll in to show her workmates and wouldn't let them touch the baby. Everybody thought she was pregnant up until the weekend. Not the weekend just passed, but the weekend before. There's a lot of people that I think if they got hold of Kira Cousins, they would lynch her. She was the youngest, innocent, wee lassie. She used to go to church. Her mom bought a pram for her, €1,000. Her gran bought her car seats and everything. One of her cousins from Wales supposedly sent her €500. She's getting all this money.
What?
I don't know where she is now, but apparently some people say she's still floating about. Other people say she's left the country. I honestly don't think the family knew. The very first post she put up, Bonnie Lee born such and such, and all the rest of it had people commenting. Now, Kira has reportedly spoken out about all of this. According to the Daily Record, in a now deleted Instagram post, she wrote, quote, "I'm so sorry. I wasn't pregnant. There was no baby. I made it up and kept it going way too far. I faked scans, messages, a whole birth story, and acted like a doll was a real baby."
There you have it. There you have it. Straight from the horse's mouth. That is wild. That is wild. Kira, what are you doing?
There is a scandal if I've ever heard of one. So let's bring on this guy to talk more about it. It's a friend of the show, criminal defense attorney Julie Rendelman. Julie, when I sent you over this story, I mean, what are your initial thoughts going through your mind as you're researching this case?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say what I said to you, and I have to give a shout out to my friend Melissa because her kids have these dolls, and she'll bring them out with us to like dinner and to the beach, and I'm absolutely terrified of them. I mean, terrified. They're like they look like real, like they look real, but you know they're not.
Yeah.
And they have terrorized me and my family over the summers when we see them, and so to see someone trying to pass their off as pass one of those off as one of the babies is just so perfect for my life right now because it's just so out there.
And okay, you mentioned it right there that this is a very expensive doll. This isn't just an American Girl doll, which I mean, I had as a child. I loved my Samantha doll, my American Girl doll. Everyone, you know,
Sure you
little girls
did.
have their dolls, but it's not that. This is a very expensive doll made to look like a real human. I mean, that's somebody.
So here's the big question I have for you guys in the chat. What could possibly be the reason that she went to this extreme? I mean, I'm looking at it from a male point of view. I know I have some females in the chat. Chime in, if you will. What could be a reason why this young girl went to this extreme to spend so much money to manipulate so many people? Is there any reason? Is there anything that you can think of that would give her a reason, a motive, so to speak? What was her intent?
Who took the time to try to, I guess, convince people that this was a real baby.
But Sierra, like I mean, I would assume she has close family members. I mean, when I had children, my mom didn't like look from afar at my baby. She would have literally shoved me out of the way to hold the child. So it doesn't. I'm not really getting how it was that she got away with this. And remember, it starts way before the baby's even. I can't believe I'm gonna before the baby's even born. I just wanted to say that. So it's like been this, lie, from start to finish.
Okay, yeah, you're right. This starts with
That's exactly what it was. It's just a lot of manipulation. And like you said, a lot of people just love to be the center of attention. You're right. You're right. It's like they go to extremes just to manipulate and lie to people to get whatever it is that they want. Social media is the devil in disguise. There are a lot of people that live the same way in real life that they live on social media. On social media, they cuss people out. They are very disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. Out here in the world, they live the same way. It's really eerie to see all this. You're like, do you realize you're not on social media behind a keyboard right now? You realize you can't be talking to people that way?
the birth announcement. And I guess we're saying birth, even though there wasn't really a birth, but that's just traditionally what you would call it, like a pregnancy announcement, the gender reveal, etc. All of those things. So I guess let's start back with that. We have this announcement. We see these all the time on social media that people who are legitimately pregnant saying, baby due, December 2025 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, with that, does that show she's starting right away with the intent to carry out this
That is
scheme
the
if she's
intent.
starting with a pregnancy announcement?
That
I mean,
is.
is it possible she was pregnant and lost the baby? I mean, anything is possible. We've seen that also. Usually in daytime soap operas, where they say they're pregnant, and they find out they're not, and then they make pretend they continue to be. But based on everything we know, I think it's highly plausible that she knew from the start she wasn't, and kind of started this lie or ruse from the get-go.
It's funny that you said daytime soap opera because I was a huge Desperate Housewives fan, and I believe it's season 2 where Brie Van de Kamp gets a fake pregnancy belly and pretends that she is pregnant while her daughter Danielle is really pregnant. And that's what we saw happen here, that she went to the lengths to buy the woman in this case. I was about to say defendant, but she's not a defendant at this time. The woman.
Wait, is Brie the one, by the way, who had the hair, eventually took off her hair or whatever? Was that the one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Bree's the one with the red hair that goes like.
Yeah, she eventually, there's like a scene where she has like a wig and she pulls it off and something.
How do I not remember that?
You need to go.
Okay, I got to speed it up because I don't have a damn clue what they're talking about. Let me speed it up a little bit. I have no clue what they're
talking about. And I guess
it
isn't up to these people. If somebody brought in a baby to law and crime, I would, and they were like, oh, she's, don't hug her yet. Don't hold her yet. I would respect the parent, I guess, as opposed to just grabbing a baby.
You wouldn't notice that the baby was fake?
Well,
those babies they look, I mean, they look creepy. First of all, even the pictures that are in the news articles in regards to what the baby looked like, it doesn't.
But that's the thing, and she's onto something right there. That baby's gonna move a little bit, right? You can see the baby, like his cheeks moving, or her cheeks moving, or their nose twitching a little bit, or even their head bobbing back and forth. I mean, it's gonna do something.
Look real.
Right.
It is as real as it could be. Looking for a doll, but I think I would notice. And by the way, babies make noises, even if it's just like a snort or there is no, they don't make no sound. It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
Right.
I guess what I'm picturing is her with the little baby carrier. You know how they put the blanket over it? I don't know the terminology as I'm not a mom yet.
I know. Yes, they cover the baby. Yes.
And then they put the blanket over it, like if the baby's sleeping.
Right.
Like if someone walked in with that, I would be like, okay, the baby's sleeping. I'm not going to open that up and take a look.
You are correct. I agree that is plausible, but those closer to her, it makes no sense. Like it's like, and by the way, for an hour, the baby's sleeping. There would be question. It doesn't. a baby needs to be fed. A baby, like
Right.
it's
Yeah, that baby's been sleeping for days. What the hell is going on? That baby hasn't moved. He hasn't shifted. That baby hasn't done nothing. Oh, my baby just sleeps calm like that. I have a good baby. No way, you don't. You got a baby doll?
I mean, remember she did didn't she do like a gender reveal before?
did.
Like, right.
And we found out that it was a girl through this gender reveal.
Good
I mean,
point. Good point.
You and I are like laughing throughout this because it is crazy. And it's a huge talker. All of my coworkers today in the morning meeting, we were talking about it and we're like, how does someone look at these photos and think that's a human when it's obviously a doll? Like, it's crazy. And so here's where the law and crime part of it comes in, where I'm asking you, a criminal defense attorney, is there a crime here?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm going to take a leap by saying, could there be an argument to be made that if, for example, she received monetary gifts from people because she was having a baby, that there was some level of fraud involved? I mean, an example would be if someone goes on one of those, what is it, those requests for money and say they have cancer and they really don't, and they receive all these funds.
Yeah.
Could there be an argument that, right, exactly. Could that be a scenario because they're giving her money because they think she's having a baby and they're really not having a baby?
Right.
I guess so. I don't really envision family, friends doing that, going forward with a case against her. Could there be something involved in terms of if she got leave from her job, things like that? And I will add, I've seen these like things where people actually believe that the child, like their doll.
I'm going to show my naiveness here because I really don't know about this part. So please excuse me if you need to laugh a minute. But when the baby's born, I mean, I know that, most women, they breastfeed, right? Well, this young woman was talking about making a bottle for the baby. Is it either or? I mean, or is it you start off with one and you kind of wean them off and then get them on the bottle? I mean, I know y'all are probably laughing and calling me an idiot and all this and that and the other. That's fine, but I'm just asking. I mean, because most of the people that I know have breastfed their babies. They don't normally start with a bottle. And the pacifier thing, it works just like Firefly said. There's going to be cooing and all that other stuff, Well, if you don't breastfeed, you got to bottle feed. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for not laughing at me too hard.
Are real and they'll have play dates with the child. I don't know if you've ever seen that. This is what our world has come to. And so I am confident that there's a mental health aspect to it in this case. And so while we do laugh, because we can't help but laugh, because I think sometimes if you don't, we're going to lose our minds. But I'm confident that there's a mental health need for attention issue that went on here that caused this all to happen.
That was going to be one of my questions, because you mentioned in the start, perhaps, we don't know, maybe she did get pregnant and lose the baby. And we know how that affects just the hormones in a woman's body can change greatly if you get pregnant and then lose a baby. Also mentally, if you're planning on having a baby, really excited, whatever it is, and you lose that, that's such a loss and a grief.
Sure.
So maybe there is this mental health component of, let me just carry it out and move forward with it. And she said something after all of this came out where she's like, I just got too far into it. I just had to kind of keep going and perpetuating it.
I mean, that's understandable. I'm not being too hard on her, but it just, you have to ask yourself at the end, don't you understand how you've broken so many people's trust in you? Like, I'm sure her mom is like, the next time if she should really get pregnant, her mom's not going to believe her. Nobody's going to really believe her. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, nah, there ain't no way she's pregnant. Stuff like that. I'm getting the skylight changed out, so if it gets really loud, that's what it is. I'm going to cut this short here in a minute.
treatment. So I guess would that be something where a mental health professional should maybe take a look and diagnose her or learn more about her history to get a better insight into all of this?
I mean, I think she certainly should be seeing some type of mental health professional. It almost feels like a Munchausen situation, you know, like that in a different way. But because I think doesn't she at one point say that the baby died?
The baby was sick with a congenital heart defect prior to birth and then died.
Right. So there was that I think was her way out of, you know, because the baby's now going to have to grow, and I don't think there's dolls that get bigger than the baby. And so, yeah, I mean, I my saying that she may have been pregnant initially is me almost giving her a way out and an excuse for why she behaved the way she did. I don't know that that's true. But you have to have some issues, whether it be incredible need for attention or something much bigger, to continue this to the fashion that she did for the length of time that she did.
Right.
My only other question about whether this could be legal in any realm is if it was on the civil side of things, in that there was a father in this, a man who believed that he had fathered this child. So I'm going to assume that they had sex at some point, that it's plausible that he's like, okay, yes, I could have impregnated this woman.
Oh
I'm
my
just going to assume
God.
that. However, there are texts that were exchanged where he was like, what's going on? Eventually, you know, realizes that this is a doll. Could there be something civil there where it's that she not coerced him, but fraud in a way led him to believe something, and there's emotional turmoil and fallout from all of this, believing he's going to be a dad?
Yeah, I would be pissed.
I would go with the second part, which is the idea of
I would be mad.
Pain that it caused him emotionally in a.
But I mean,
first
he
of all,
should have been
believing that there was.
He should have been
that he
able
was
to
having
see.
a child throughout. I guess
He should have been able to see while he's holding that baby. That's not real. Baby wasn't moving. Baby wasn't cooing nothing. Babies opened their eyes a little bit. Come on.
over 9 months. B, that the child was born. C, that the child died due to the heart defect. And last but not least, the fact that it was all a fake story from the start, which he was pulled into. Obviously, we don't know the full understanding of their relationship. People say they're pregnant sometimes just to keep the guy that they're with in a relationship. I don't think that they go this far.
Okay, Firefly, you got me on that one. I didn't know about breastfeeding, so you're right. You're right. You got me on that one. You got me on that one. Touche. Yeah, she told everybody that she had a baby. He was holding the baby, and it was a baby doll. I wonder if it's one of those like squishy type dolls, or if it's like, you know, like they have in health class, you got to carry around that baby and it cries and all that. She would have been better off getting one of those babies. At least the baby would have cried. It would have moved a little bit every now and then. She could have got away with the deception a little better. You know what I mean? I don't know if the baby had any weight about it. Supposedly the baby weighed 5 pounds and so many ounces. So, I mean, if the baby didn't feel like 5 pounds to a father, like Firefly said, maybe he wasn't exposed to newborn babies. Maybe he didn't know any better. I get that. You're right. You're right. I'm so glad you are here to help me through this. I am like dumbfounded right now.
But so yeah, is there room for some civil liability? Sure. Am I assuming that that's going to be the road this takes now?
I don't think so either, because to your point that we've talked about earlier, the mental health aspect of this does seem to be there. However, to put it in terms of the law, I do see, and tell me, I know that this is so silly to talk about because we don't have a crime here. But when I was going through, I was thinking the words that I always go through, you know, consciousness of guilt, mens rea, and all of this, which I see. I mean, there's the intent. We have her getting the fake belly. There is the consciousness of guilt where she's like, oh, let me take the baby away. Like, nobody can see it.
Oh my God.
Because, you know.
Sierra is talking the legal lingo. We talk about mens rea all the time on this channel. Y'all should know what that means. The guilty mindset, the mindset of the person creating the potential crime.
Know that it's fake and you're going to get found out. I mean, do you see any of those things?
I don't. It's like imagine, and we've seen it before. Imagine there used to be a woman that walked around my daughter's the park with a doll, making pretend the doll was real, and scaring all the kids. It's not a crime.
Right.
She believed the doll was real. I mean, I guess in this case, I assume the argument is that she didn't really believe the doll was real. Is it possible that she actually thinks that the doll was real, that the baby died? Perhaps, but I don't. There's no crime there. The crime would really be the fraud against those who believed it was real and did something either financially or otherwise to support her believing that she was really having a baby.
I guess when you break it down like that, it really does show that, I mean, again, there's no like real crime here, but just the aspect of the mental health being involved in this, if she does believe that the baby's real, or if she so desperately wanted a baby. I mean, we have like joked throughout this interview, but also a lot of people struggle with infertility, or
Sure.
when they have a miscarriage or whatever it, like that's so hard to have to deal with for both the mother and the father in all of this. And then on top of all of that, the sadness for the friends and family who were planning to, oh, I'm so excited for this baby, Bonnie Lee.
Right.
We're going to watch her grow up and whatever. And then now they don't have a granddaughter, a niece, whatever it is, because she
Right.
doesn't exist.
That's just terrible, though. And that's just terrible all the way around, though. Well, it's about to get really loud. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Thank you for tuning in with me on this Sunday. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and let people know that I'm around. Hope that y'all enjoyed the presentation, and I will see y'all again soon. Maestro, cue that music.